Back in the 70s, when I was a little lad, my brother was in high school, and he had this big old RCA reel-to-reel recorder. Remember these things? And he read somewhere that when you're sleeping, that you're still aware and you're processing information. So he would go, and every night, for 2 or 3 hours, he'd read from his physics book in the tape recorder, and then to the utter joy of the entire family, play that for himself at night, and thinking he was absorbing what was going on. So we're doing a little experiment here. We took a bunch of the presentations and we compressed them with this new algorithm that should allow us to receive them at a lot of data in a real quick, short amount of time. So let's roll that first video and see if this works. It's a bit of an experiment. That's a good point, actually. You know, are you guys getting this? Is anyone? No, I didn't think so. All right. We tried, we really did. If anyone actually can ever figure out that last link in the chain, if you can figure out how to take the lame-ass human experience and make it faster, we'll go find some VC money and make $1 billion. Anyway, we actually did, in the old-fashioned way, real-time world, took some clips from some of the presenters, and without further ado, take a look.
One of the reasons that we started this is that when we began, we talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people seemed to be waiting to find out where this is headed. I don't mean the summit, but I mean where is all this technology headed? The summit is the wrong word for this thing. Summit is a point in time. This is actually a movement. So tomorrow, the name Chicago New Media Summit will end, and there'll be something else. And again, we'll reveal that to you at the end.
He talks about this whole movement about being like a gold rush, and that it's going to end. So what are you waiting for? Get on, let's do it. It's going to end. I actually disagree with that. I don't know if it's a gold rush as much as it is that with digital technology and what's happening in this space, we actually have an opportunity to create and define what our own personal brands are. And the great thing about that is that the opportunity is to do that preemptively before someone else does it for you.
I'm going to submit that we're on a collision course right now. And we're on a collision course because the way that I want to communicate and use media and share things has changed dramatically in the past few years as a consumer. And the way that I share things and the way that I create things, and even the way that I want ownership over things, right? I don't want people to make things for me to listen to. I want people to give me things that I can reinterpret myself, is fundamentally at odds with how we do a lot of things. And these collisions are kind of a new black in terms of how we all need to integrate. And when we think of traditional media partners, and we think of what a lot of us do in the room, I think fundamentally we're challenged today. And it's why I think this summit is so important, is that risk needs friends, right? We all need to work together to understand how to address this world.
There was the challenge, right? Build a social engagement platform for the 21st century citizen. And if you start thinking of politics today in the 21st century, you start thinking of the Founding Fathers. And it's pretty clear when you look back at the Founding Fathers that the rock star of the bunch was Ben Franklin.
Basically, citizen journalists are anybody without traditional journalism training, which includes just everybody on the planet except for people who went to J school. So what's happening is the bloggers and, like Daily Show and people like us are beginning to sort of break through and show that there's more to the story than maybe a lot of the media is telling.
So my general suggestion is that whatever it is that you're doing, think about how you do it, think about the domain, think about the techniques that you use, and go back to your office today or tomorrow whenever you get back to work. And instead of picking up where you left off, write something down about what you do. Share a process. Share something that makes sense to you. And educate the people who come to your site, and even if you don't have people coming to your site, start a blog today. And eventually, down the road, it may take a while, but you're going to start to build an audience. And when you start to build an audience, you have a captive audience who you can sell stuff to, and these people really intimately know what you have to say and what you're selling.
The old paradigm, guns for hire, has been turned upside down, and the old rules no longer apply. The internet has effectively blurred the boundaries between what is professional and what is non-professional. And it has empowered the underdogs, and they are ready.
So right now, somewhere in their mom's basement or in an old garage, there are two young kids, and they're plotting to destroy your industry. They'll figure out how to disrupt your world. They will invent the new technology or craft the new business model that will shake our assumptions about how that industry works.
But what I thought was interesting about it is this idea that he expressed about being able to share things and not necessarily worry about, will they get stolen? Will somebody use them to compete against me? All those types of things. And I think partly that we know that it's okay to do it. He's kind of shown that it's okay to do it, and you're not going to end up with a competitor that's going to just, ruin your business.
New media is about building relationships, and it's about marketing, and it's about design. But just to say that I visit colleges a lot, and I tell them the same thing, which is the secret to getting the job of your dreams is to know exactly what job you're dreaming about.
Right. It's circulated inside the school. It is about 100,000 circulation, and what's different about this is that the students themselves write most of it, and that is really addressing a need from the really young millennials, and that is they want to write what's in their paper, and they want to decide what their paper is going to be. So this customization and this need to have your personal imprint, even on your mass media product, is really important among younger people.
One of the things that we're finding is that the wonderful things that you saw Sam doing only happen outside of our institutions. They only happen in informal learning contexts. And one of the things that we're hearing from kids is the more digitally savvy they get, the more they have to make the choice between engaging in school and engaging in their digital savvy activities, because there's such a divide between the two.
So, smart guy, tell me exactly how you're going to monetize my content. And here's my proposal. I would tell you that the use of technology and the use of data and innovation therein are exactly how you should monetize your content. I think there's some vast lessons to be learned from selling audiences and not content.
You know what? We're just going to build it for us. We're going to build something that's cool. Because if you focus in on something that you will love, probability is that other people will love it too.
This is a time of great opportunity. Okay, the mobile space is a new medium and not TV for your phone. This is where Hollywood, I think, is really missing the mark at the moment. Because the whole notion is just repurposing the quick get. It truly is a new medium. And it touches on a little bit what Miguel said earlier. My opinion about the mobile space is that it's a convergence of three things: traditional media, branded advertising, and technology.
Find me on LinkedIn, find me on Facebook. Let's get together and talk seriously about how we can leverage our collective brain power to overcome a lot of these issues. Because truly, if we can continue to keep that tide rising, then I think everyone understands that everyone's boats will lift.
You may be black, you may be white, you may be Jew, you may be Gentile. It don't matter in our house. And this is fresh.
I love that. I was getting concerned because yesterday John took the word summit out, so we're not going to call it the summit anymore. And Marshall Ross came in today and took the word new out. I'm like, guys, we're running out of words. We're not going to have a title if we keep on. So I'm glad we have a new title. That's great. But way back in the old days when we were still calling it new media, yesterday, we took our camera around during the cocktail reception and we asked people a couple of questions. We asked them what new media was and why it was important. So got some good answers. Take a look.
Think of what, we think of as traditional media, getting ideas out to people, communication out to people, putting it in a more accessible format, bringing it to more people, a wider audience, and that's made possible by newer technologies like the internet.
It's blogging, it's Twitter, it's Brightkite, it's the presentation of information by people. It's uncensored, it's unbridled, it's passionate. It's interesting.
Digital media, I think about non-traditional forms of media, I think about the internet, I think about images, sounds, away from analog, everything that young people are doing today.
So when I think of new media, I think of street media. I think you got to take things to the streets because people are not really in the house anymore. They're on their cell phones, they're in the streets. So if you wanted your product or your service to be heard or known about, you got to go to the streets.
Video, I think mobile content, I think people watching content on their cell phones.
I think people blogging, I think watching video clips on a cell phone. I don't know, a cell phone comes to me a lot, I think, because it's newer than watching video online.
HD, YouTube, VMO, computer video, things of that nature. Anything that is that brings the message to the people with the new technology.
New media gives a voice to people who do not get their message out there yet. In the past, it was just large companies, maybe politicians, who were able to talk to the masses. New media enables me or Brian or anyone in this room to communicate, over a blog, over online streaming radio, over podcasts, to a larger market of people.
Technology convergence. I think user-friendly, user-centric. I think new age. I think people like vigilantes being able to do things that they've never done before.
I do sort of feel like it is an old school term because I don't really think that media is new. And I think that the hottest term right now, more than anything, is convergence outside of new media. So it's not about whether you're online or offline, it's about what can you do to completely, create campaigns that are going to meld together.
I think old is new. I think everything that's always been done the same way we've always done it, but packaged and maybe refined a little bit in a little bit different way.
It's really the same media has been used forever. I mean, basically since the television. We're looking at videos, we're looking at text. We have newspapers, we have TV, we have movies, whatever. This is a way of getting this media through a broadband connection, through some new way of receiving the media, whether it's through a friend emailing you or through YouTube.
It's going to be our primary form of communication in the future. I think this is the wave of communication and interacting.
It's not all about radio, it's not all about television, it's not all about completely spending all of your time online. It's all about how you get information personally. And there's so many different avenues for people to do that now that I think it's really important to take everything into account when you want to communicate.
Well, it's important to us because we all want to use it. We all want to capitalize on what we all want to see what we can get from this, because if I have a way of, I'm part of a coffee company, if I have a way of getting 1 million people to view my webpage of my coffee company, some of them might buy the coffee that's on the page.
Lots of people believe our only purpose in life is to be creative in a way to help each other. I mean, the web will absolutely create this ability to take and make us be social organisms in a very fast way.
Traditional mediums like television and film, that those rules of the game have really already been written and solidified, and there are certain players that kind of, hold the cards when it comes to that. But I think with new media, I think there are opportunities there that exist that don't necessarily exist in the same way in other mediums.
Old media is so, I should say, programmed. Get out of that control environment and start looking to our own understanding, because everybody's different.
It's less waste when you invest in new media, because it is what it is to those people that it attracts.
I own a large corporation and I'm not a politician, so new media allows me to broadcast my message to people who want to hear it. So it's not just me tossing bad ideas out on millions of people. New media allows me to customize. It allows me to fine-tune who's hearing what I need to say.
It's impacting the way that we work and play, because it's changing the way that we've done everything. The way we look at news, I don't even have to pick up a newspaper anymore. It's changing industries. It's changing us. And I mean, in some ways good, in some ways we're becoming a little bit more impersonal, but I think that for the creative class, for like the group of artists, it's basically just another great tool.
The great thing about new media is that you have the opportunity to connect with people that you may not have ever had the opportunity to connect with. I mean, new media allows you to use technology, open source, basic, something as simple as email, to be able to reach out to people that you know, people you don't know, and people who you didn't even know were connected to one another.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Obviously, those people have no idea what they're talking about, right? The thing that came up I thought was really interesting is, no one really used the term, but democratization of the whole process. It came up again and again, a little more than I actually thought it would, that the power to the people, that that these technologies are really enabling a lot of people to have a voice who didn't have a voice before. We talked to a guy, one of the guys there, has made a couple feature films. I asked him, 15, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you'd had to go through a studio, or you had to have a lot of money to make a feature film. And here you are today, you're shooting and editing on gear that cost you $5,000. And he did make the point, though, that, it's still all about the quality. There's a lot of stuff out there, and because of this democratization, there's a lot of stuff that's mediocre. So it's always about getting those eyeballs and staying on top of that. Michael Holm, who's one of our VPs of Interactive, is a special guy. And I asked him, why is new media important? And you got to hear his answer. Why is this important?
I don't know if it is. We haven't really always had a problem communicating before the internet came along. I think we always did. I think there are substantial impacts from the internet age. Our current election is a great example. We've had presidents that were crippled, and the general public didn't know that because the media was able to hide that because maybe they were protecting America or whatever the case may be. But however that occurred, there were ways to keep things undercover. It's almost impossible these days. There's so much more transparency, and that's definitely a factor that's come from the internet. But overall, do we need all of this to communicate? Probably not. We've always done so.
A Luddite at a new media summit. Where did that come from? But he's insane completely. But he's actually got a point, and I think one of the words that keeps on coming up to me over and over again is optimization or optimizing. Fitting the message to fit the medium, and the medium to fit the message. I remember being back in the early '90s. I was a fledgling, video producer, director, and a couple times I had a client come up to me and say things like, we want to produce this video. And I'd say, okay, what do you want to do? And we start talking, and halfway through the conversation, I'm like, are you really sure a video is what you need here? Maybe a nice brochure would be, the way to go. And I didn't make brochures, so that's probably why I didn't get a lot of work in the early 90s. But today we have all these amazing tools. There are so many different things we can do, and if we're working with a client, we're trying to sell a brand, we're trying to get our message out there, whatever we're doing, the really cool part about where we are in this whole continuum is having these amazing tools at our dispense so we can really tailor how we're speaking to our audience and who we're speaking to. You've heard over and over again. I'm not going to beat up anymore, but I just think that's the thing I'm taking away from this personally. That's all I got. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate your time. And make sure you go and check out these videos on the web because that's going to be a really powerful thing too. We saw little snippets here. That was by no means all the good stuff. There's a bunch of great stuff out there. So thanks a lot.